About a year ago on the channel, I had a look at a fantastic new product that is being manufactured in regional Australia. It's polymer horse rail, which is electrifiable, and polymer posts, which are super strong. Today, I'm out with Andrew Long and Mitch Dematos. Andrew is a well-known horse industry figure. He's a master farrier. He's represented Australia in show jumping, and Mitch is from the central coast of New South Wales. We won't hold that against him. We're going to find out from these two guys why they're using this product. Well, this is your arena, mate. Yeah. And it's a little bit different to your paddocks. In your paddocks you use stays, but in your arena on the ends, you're not using stays. Can you talk me through that?
Yeah, I just thought for a safety aspect, Tim, and being a 2.4 post, I put it in 900 so that there was no interference riding the horse, and it's nice and sturdy. You can tension it nice and tight. Great brackets. Then leads into your posts with your plastic caps. It's all safe. Horses can't hurt themselves. So yeah, I would recommend in this application, put your post in 2.4 in the ground. Don't need a stay for safety aspects for horses getting caught in, and Bob's your uncle.
So you've only got this post sticking 900 out of the ground,
yep.
So about 2/3 of it are in the ground.
Yeah, 100%.
And that negates the need for a stay, because strange things happen in arenas, don't they?
They sure do, yeah. Horses can get caught up in it, and it's just a safety aspect from my point of view, yeah.
Ordinary fencing would require a stay, but because this fence is so easily tensioned, you can get away without using a stay at all. Yeah,
and that's the other aspect of this fencing, like 2 turns of the tensioner and it's tight. Like you can see, there's a little bit of flex, so if a horse does hit it, they're safe. You don't have to tension it super tight, so the strainer won't be compromised.
Top and bottom wires are electrifiable.
Yeah.
Obviously you haven't electrified it in an arena because that would just be silly. But in a normal paddock, you can also add electricity in here to keep the barrier.
Yeah, correct. In our horse paddocks, yeah, it's electrified top and bottom.
It gets pretty hot out here in Meredith, and it gets pretty cold.
Yeah.
And your soil opens and contracts. How long's this fence been up, mate?
This fence has been up approximately about 4 years, and yeah, I haven't actually tensioned it since its install. So
in 4 years you haven't adjusted
no,
it?
not once. Yeah. This is what I love about the simplicity of this fence, Tim. You know, you got your turnbuckle here. Usually we'd insert a steel bar. And
so you got a hole here and a hole here, and it goes all the way through.
And you can tension it a few different degrees by just pulling up the stainless holding brackets, yep. And you tension it. This has been tensioned 3 turns, and you can see, you know, it hasn't been done in 5 years, and that's the fence.
So 4 or 5 years it's been sitting here in the sun and the winter.
Yep.
And it hasn't stretched at all because of the wire inside the fence.
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
If it was just plastic alone, then it could be a problem.
Yeah, and I think it's Jack's technology to secure the plastic to the wire, which makes his product stand out from other products on the market.
Now, originally in your paddocks, you attached this to pine posts, but for your arena and for your later fences, you've moved across to a compound post as well. You've got a PVC post here.
I like the way that the posts are manufactured with a bit of movement for horses. Yep. If you do have an impact, the post absorbs a lot of the impact. I've been in the industry for a long time, and I just prefer a post that's got a bit of give in it to absorb any forces to make the horse as safe as possible.
Andrew, it's one thing to talk about the simplicity of the product and how good it looks and how easy it is for the owner, but really when it comes down to it, for horse people, it's the horse that matters, isn't it? Now, Vega here's your wife's horse?
Correct, mate. Yeah, yep.
And she had a bit of an incident with a wire fence, which is why you jumped over to think fencing, isn't it?
Yeah, she got her back leg stuck in the fence and stripped it down to the hock.
That's almost a death sentence for a horse, isn't it?
Yeah, we were very concerned. That's why we changed the product.
How long did it take you to get her to recover, mate?
I would say she was in a box for about a month.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Expensive too.
Very.
So you put out the new plastic rails, and then she did a typical horse thing, didn't you, Vega? Had an accident again.
She's a feisty woman, Tim, and yeah, she had an accident with the fence, and the fence lasted perfect.
Yeah, right. So she ran into the fence again, just the same as she did with the wire fence. What was the damage this time?
The damage was 2 plastic end brackets and about an hour of my time.
Yeah, right. And no damage to the horse, more importantly.
None at all.
I think she wants to go out with me, mate. Mitch, how you going, mate? Checking out the work?
How are you?
Mitch, how you going?
Good, good.
Now, we've got the inside goss on this from Horse Owner that's owned it for a few years. I want to get a few tips and tricks from a contractor that's been installing it, mate. Can we go and have a look at a few of the fences around
Yeah, mate,
here?
definitely. Let's have a look.
With any fence, there are a few do's and don'ts. You've got a few do's and don'ts out here that you want to take us through when you're installing fences like this, mate.
Definitely, Tim, I do. There's a lot of do's and don'ts, especially when it comes to this type of fence.
So the tips start at the end of the fence, mate.
They do, Tim. So we're talking about the end here where we connect our electrification for
Okay.
the Titan rail.
Yep.
So instead of stripping it back on your wire, which can create a weak point, especially when you tension it,
Yep.
we connect them at the end and we use a proper clamp, always use a proper clamp so it doesn't create a weak point.
So you just leave an extra centimetre or so and
We do.
strip the ends to get access to that high
Correct,
conductive wire.
yeah, that's right.
Keeps all of the clutter against the post
Exactly.
nice and safe away from the horses as well, doesn't it?
That's it.
Because they're curious creatures.
They sure are. So another thing that what we do is with your ground wire, if you're running across any gates, we make sure that we run it in an irrigation pipe or some form of conduit. It just prevents any nasties from happening or breaking that wire, hurting a horse.
Now the next tip that you've picked up from Andrew, mate, is a slight offset, and I mean like only about 5 or 10 degrees around the post from 90 degrees.
Yep.
He's got these brackets on a slight angle. What's that doing?
So what that does, Tim, is if you could run your eye down that Titan rail, it brings that rail back in line with the rest of them. If the bracket is out on the external part of the post, you've gained that 25 mil, mate, and that pulls the wire back, so you can see a little bit of an offset. It's purely for aesthetics, but we want to finish the job exactly the right way all the time.
And it's only about a 5 or 10 degree offset
It is.
here, isn't it? It's
Correct,
not much.
yeah. So we've probably come 30 mil off centre of post, just to give that tilt back a bit.
The next tip, Mitch, you got for us is if you're using horses, don't use box end assemblies with diagonal stay wire.
Correct, 100%, Tim. Look, that's very dangerous for the horse and it can cause all kinds of issues. If you were to do a box end or retrofit, I would probably use a threaded rod, and which creates solid, can't deglove. Or if you're building it from scratch, I'd be using a steel stay. No more strainer wires.
Now, Mitch, I'm setting you up for a really hard question. Are you ready?
Hit me with it, Tim.
Post spacing. The further apart, the more money you save, the closer together, the stronger the fence. When you're dealing with stuff like Titan rail, what's your pick for post spacing, mate?
Look, it definitely comes down to the project at hand and the context. So realistically, if you're in a very hot area, you would have a shorter spacing. So you'd stick between that 3 to 4 metres with no sag in your rail. If you're in quite a cold area, if the job's quite level and flat and you can get enough tension on your wire, you can go up to about 6 metres. My personal preference whenever I build is at a 4 metre spacing. It's just what I like. The fence is self-supportive and it looks quite nice at the end.
Some people are going for a much higher fence these days, particularly with Stallions.
That's correct.
And in that situation, you might shrink your post spacing a little bit from 4.
That's right. The higher the fence, the more centre of gravity that you will have. So, especially with Stallions, you want it to be a bit more tough and a bit rigid. So you'd bring it into about your 3 to 4 metres.
And if you're trying to save money and you've got a temperate climate, then maybe you could squeeze it out to 5.
You could
but you might have
maybe
a
get
little
it to
bit of
5.
slack if it's hot weather.
Yeah, exactly. You could look. It's completely up to you as an installer or up to the client that you're working for, but you could bring that out to 5 to save yourself a little bit of money.
Mitch, some fantastic tips today, mate.
No worries,
Thank you
Tim.
very much. How can people get onto you?
Mate, if they want to jump onto the website, it's irongatefencing.com.au or give me a phone call.
There's a link in the description, guys. If you want good fencing on the mid-coast of New South Wales, get on to Mitch and the team. And if you like this kind of video, don't forget to share this far and wide and hit the subscribe button. They're 2 free ways that you can help the channel and get great information out. We'll catch you next week with something else, mate. It's been fantastic.
Thanks, Tim. Thanks, guys.